Today we are going to be talking about the 15th century Cluny hand-and-a-half sword by Deepeeka. Yes, another Deepeeka sword, go figure. I got a couple of them in the early days of my sword collection, so deal with it. This sword is probably always going to be my favorite, as this was the very first true sword I ever actually bought. Everything about it I still like, though there are some things about it that proved it's not actually a right-handed sword. Whoever originally had this made for themselves was a lefty. And I'll show you why I came to that conclusion here in a moment. But first, let's just get into the first impressions of this sword. First of all, disclaimer, the belt is also mine, go figure. Use the same type of material as I did in the Philip IV sword, so I won't need to get into that. The sword itself has a beautiful red leather cover to just about everything that matches. Down from the leather cording on the handle to even a rain guard on the cross guard in the blade, just a little bit, as well as the sheath itself. This one is also a thick leather hide sheath with no wooden core that's been wrapped in a thinner layer of red leather. It also has a butt cap with a mushroom cap on the end of the butt cap, so it has a little extra protection from any kind of dragging on the ground, wear and tear. This sword also does have that same foam pad in it as the Philip IV sword and Naslin sword, but unlike those two, this one's been drawn a lot more, so that pad's been worn down, and the sword itself drops out of it quite easily. So we've gone over its sheath, let's get into the sword blade itself and its feel. This is one of the largest swords I own, and being the one two-hander I have, it still feels quite nice in hand. I'm able to grip it quite comfortably, whether it be two-handed or even single-handed. If I'd use single-handed, I do have to go quite close up to the crossguard, and this is a much more weighty sword than the other two, and unlike the other two, this one is a stage combat version, meaning the tip has been rounded and it's got a fat edge on it so that you can actually use it for dueling other people. This one has actually been struck several times by other steel bits that I had. I was originally in the past wanting to do a sword test video with it when I first saw other people doing similar stuff with similar swords, and this was before I knew more about the functions of the swords. It's also gone through several duels that I've done for a few shows that I was volunteered at, and it held up very nicely. There's a little bit of denting in the edge of the steel. It probably won't show up very well, but we'll give it a try. The denting was negligible as it was going edge on edge to another sword. The edge did get some damage, but no major chipping. Now, a lot of people will see that rain guard, and the first thing they'll think is that it's useless and just in the way. It's going to get cut, damaged, things like that. I've actually used this in a few duels with people, and it's also the same way, though, those duels is how I figured out it's a lefty sword. We'll get into that next, but for now, this actually has survived multiple duels with multiple people. It's not actually fallen apart or broken. I am surprised that it's not taken more abuse, especially being out there above the guard like it is. The guard, it has a nice little S shape to it, which is what proves why it's a lefty's sword. Because, as I am right-handed, the right hand goes over the left hand. What happens is, when I bring it back, the guard ends up resting on the forearm, and you don't quite get as comfortable positioning with it. You might be able to think that, oh, I can brace it, but you get in a really awkward position with your hand. However, if I go and switch to left-handed, and go high, the guard doesn't actually strike my wrist like that, and the other S of the guard goes out over where my hand would be. So if there's a strike coming in from an edge that might be striking it and rolling it, it's going to hit that and not quite as easily roll the sword. A little bit more of my knuckles are protected by that, but not by a whole lot. The handle itself is very comfortable to hold, with it being specifically set up to be a two-hander. You've got a wider point at the midpoint of the handle and narrower below near the pommel and wider up near the guard. The pommel and the guard on this one are actually steel and have a similar tang set up to where if the handle is damaged, you can easily grind off the tip of the tang, pull off your pommel, get your handle replaced and fixed, and then put the pommel back over and peen it back over using the same method that they did so that you still have a lot of meat. It's designed to actually be used and function without having to take away a lot or having to do extra maintenance to repair. Aesthetically, this sword receives probably a 9 out of 10. The only thing I see as a downside with this one is mostly that rain guard that's been put on it where it meets the blade in the sheath. The rain guard in itself doesn't actually provide a lot of protection to the sword blade, mainly because it doesn't have much of a coating that goes over. It's basically just two areas butting up together. This is based off of an actual historical sword, the Cluny 15th century sword, and that in itself has a more updated version that Deepeeka has made, a little more closely resembling the original. Hopefully in the future I can actually get that one as well to review. For now though, I'll be sticking with this one. My thoughts on this sword is aesthetically 9 out of 10. It's got its drawbacks, mostly being a lefty sword instead of a righty. This is a very, very nice sword and probably gonna remain in my collection until who knows when. It's the last sword I'll ever part with, and for the way it wears when you belt it up, I have a double buckle system that I put onto it so that when it's belted on, the whole of the blade in the sword is held a lot more stable. If I only do the top belt, the sword has a tendency to want to swing. But when I do the bottom buckle as well, the sword then is more willing to be locked in place, and I'm more able to remember where the tip of that sword blade is. Alrighty, so that was my review and first impressions for the Cluny 15th century hand and a half sword by Deepeeka. Let me know what you think in the comments and what you want to see done with this sword. See you in the next one. Take care.